Hello everybody, it's Juliet here. Welcome. Today we're going to do something a little different. We're going to do an ornament cover using this cute little cat charm that came out of the Potomac Beads Purr and Polished box for this month. Now, these cat charms are, I'm afraid, I think, exclusive to the box. But you don't have to use that. You could put anything you want in the middle, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But anyway, so this is what we're gonna learn how to make today, and I think it's really fun, and hopefully, you know, I'm just trying to think of some different things. I think it looks pretty good on this blush colored ball here. You could also do it on an orange ball or a purple ball if you wanted it to be kind of Halloween, or if you want it to look really nice, put it on a white ball. That would be pretty too. So anyway, let me go over the materials we'll be using and then we'll get started. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to create a little frame like this that goes around our little kitty cat charm. Now, if you don't have the kitty cat, you can use any other kind of charm that you like, or a drop, or you could bezel, you know, a chaton or something. It's up to you really, or you could just leave it blank, or if you really wanted to, you could even, stick a sticker or something, or, you know, paint a little picture or something in the middle of your ornament, and you just have that. But anyway, I have my little cat charm here, okay? So yeah, we're gonna make this frame first, and I am using materials that came in Potomac Beads Purr and Polished box for the month of August. If you don't have that box, most of these materials, not the cats, but most of them are, you know, normally available. Or you can use, you know, different colors than me, whatever. But anyway, so the ornament that I am using is approximately 2¼ inches tall, I think. It's kind of hard to measure. I think it's about 2¼ inches. This is just a ball that I think we got these in Target. They're kind of the standard size ball. So whatever the most standard size is. So that's the size bauble that I am using. And obviously you can choose whatever color you want. You can choose whatever color beads you want, okay? And I find to keep it rolling off my desk, I use one of these little triangle trays and just stick it in there so it doesn't roll away, okay? All right, so what you're gonna need here, besides whatever you're going to hang in the middle, which I'm using these adorable little kitty cat charms. First of all, we have these cute little bezeled chatons that are in settings, okay? And these are SS28, which I believe is 6mm. Oh yeah, it says right there, 6mm. So these came in our box, amethyst, and they have different colored ones, I believe, on the website. So, you know, you don't have to stick to the color scheme here, but, so that's what you need are some, chatons in settings that are SS28, okay? Then also here I have some super duos. This was a mix that came in our box. It was a jet and bronze mix, but I'm only using the jet, the black, okay? I'm just picking out the black ones. Then here we have some crystal rounds. These are Opal 4mm, okay? And for your circle, you need 12. So you're gonna need 24 for your 2 circles, and then whatever we're going to use for doing the rest of the this, which I'm not sure yet. So I have some, these did not come in the box. These are just some 11/0s in black. I am using some out of this Azuki set that we got a few months ago in one of the treasure boxes. Number 5 is black, so I'm just using that. Or you could use any other brand of seed bead that you want. Okay, and then we got these Miyuki 8Os, Silver Labrador. So these are specially coated check with an extra coating on them. Okay, we're gonna play bead chicken here because I'm hoping we have enough. I kind of counted and I think I do. I happen to have some more that I got earlier. I am not sure if they still have them on the website, but this should be the item number right here. Okay, I will check that for you, but you know, you don't have to use these 8Os. You can use any 8Os, okay? And then you will need a little jump ring if you have your cats, just to attach. And I wanted to use gunmetal because the ones that came with the cat are gunmetal, but the gunmetal ones I have, the gauge is I have the right size, but the gauge is so large it won't fit through my 8O. So I'm using silver. Okay, so that is everything. I'm using some dragon thread today, size 6, and I'm using crystal. You can use, well, if you're using the opal, I would use crystal because you don't want like a dark line showing through your opal crystals, okay? But I mean, it's up to you. I can only advise you, okay? And I'm just using a size 10 beading needle. So get a nice long piece of thread, maybe like 4.5 feet, okay? And you're gonna leave kind of your 4 inches at the end. We're going to pick up, I'm gonna bring you in a little bit. And I like to kind of work this on my mat just so that I can see what you're allowed to pick it up obviously, but when you're working and you want to lay it out and see where you're supposed to go, it's a little bit easier to just lay it on your mat, okay? All right, so get one of your chatons and just sew through. It doesn't matter what hole, okay? Just sew straight through. Also, when you're working with these, be really careful that your thread doesn't get caught in the prongs, okay? Because earlier I was working and I sneezed and my thread got stuck in one of the prongs. So just be aware that that can happen, okay? So yeah, just kind of watch for that. All right, so you're gonna leave your tail here. Just trying to get the length I want, okay. And I'm gonna tilt it slightly so that I'm coming out like on the upper left, and my prongs are here and my thread is coming out on the upper left side. I'm going to pick up an 8O, a crystal, and an 8O, and I'm going to enter into the upper right side, and I'm going to go straight down through, okay? So I now have that at the top. Okay, here's my thread coming. This is my tail on the right and my working thread on the left. Then I'm going to pick up again an 8O, a crystal, and an 8O, and I'm going to go through the chaton again and create the same thing on the bottom edge. Okay, so I am coming out the top left. I'm going to pass through the crystal again, and then I'm going to pass through the 8O, the chaton setting, and the 8O on the other side again, and I'm going back to meet my tail so that we can tie a knot, okay? So go through the crystal and through the 8O, okay? And then you're gonna just tighten everything up. Oops, something's gone wrong here. I've missed something here. Hang on, I'm gonna have to fix that. You see how my thread is going on the outside? That means I missed a hole. I missed the hole. So I'm gonna undo it really quickly and then I'll come back to you. Okay, so I got back to where I was and without missing the hole this time, and we're going to tie. So you should be exiting from the 8/0. You're going to tie your tail and your working thread together in a square knot. And this is just going to help us keep our tension from going out. Okay. Okay, so we have this coming out the lower right side. So you're going to go through the middle and come out from the 8/0 on the other side, on the upper left side, okay? And then you're going to pass through the crystal so that we're coming out on the right side of the crystal. So this is going to be this side right here, okay, that we're working on, and we're going to work our way around the circle this way. All right, so this is basically right angle weave, just with extra beads. So, and it's a little bit different up at the top. On this one, you can see some of my threads here and down here. See right here? So I'm gonna fix that on this one this time. So it's slightly different when we get up to the top up here, okay, on the bottom. All right, so you're gonna pick up one of your 8/0s, one of your super duos, make sure you check the holes are okay, another 8/0, a crystal, and one more 8/0. So we have 8/0, super duo, 8/0, crystal, 8/0. Push it all down to where you are coming out. So we're coming out there, okay? You're going to pass back through the other hole of the super duo that's on our thread. Okay, so it should look like this. So you've kind of gone back down here, and then you're going to pick up one more 8/0, and then you're going to pass through the crystal on the side where we're not already attached. So we had started on this side, so we're going in the other side, okay? Okay, so we now have this. Okay, so we just added these beads, we passed back through here, and then we added this and we came out again. Then we're gonna work our way back up to where we were. So go through the 8/0, the super duo, the next 8/0, and then we're going to pass through our crystal at the top, okay? Now this bit is where it gets a little bit different, okay? So we're now coming out on the left side. We're going to pick up one of our 8/0s, one of our super duos, so that bit's the same as what we did before, another 8/0, but we're on the outside of our circle here, so we need to pick up one extra bead, which is an 11/0 right here, and then you're going to pick up a crystal and an 8/0. Okay, so you have 8/0, super duo, 8/0, 11/0, crystal, 8/0. Push all down. Okay, you're going to sew back through the other hole of the super duo. So you're going away from where you were, like this. Okay, then you're going to pick up one more 8/0. You're going to sew through the crystal. Okay, so now we have 3 crystals on, so it's time for us to add our next chaton up at the top up here. Okay, so go ahead, pass through the 8-0, through the super duo, through the 8-0, 11-0, and through the crystal. So now we're coming out on the inside of our circle here, okay? So you're going to pick up one of your 8-0s and then you're going to pass straight through one of your chaton settings, okay? So just go all the way through it, okay? And you're going to lay it down and look. So if we were coming out on the bottom here, we're now coming out on the top up here, okay? We're going to pick up one 8-0, one 11-0, one crystal, one 8-0, and go straight back into the hole at the bottom here, okay? And you're going to pass straight through like this. Okay. So now we're coming out at the upper left-hand side. You're going to just pick up an 8-0 and an 11-0. And then you're going to go down through the crystal that is on the other side. Okay, so it should look like this. So on the outside at the top and at the bottom, we're going to have these two extra little 11-0s, okay? Okay, so now you're going to pass through the 8-0, through the chaton setting, and up through your 8-0, your 11-0, and down through your crystal, okay? Okay, so coming out from the bottom here, we're going to pick up an 8-0, a super duo, another 8-0, a crystal, and another 8-0. Okay, so 8-0, super duo, 8-0, crystal, 8-0. Push that all down. You're going to pass back through the super duo, the other hole of the super duo, okay? You're going to pick up an 8-0 and an 11-0. And you're going to pass through the crystal up here. Okay, so we now have our two little 11-0s on each side there, okay? You're going to pass through the 8-0, through your super duo, through the 8-0, and then up through the crystal. From here, you're going to pick up 8-0, super duo, 8-0, crystal, 8-0, push it down. So back through the super duo, pick up an 8-0, and sew through the crystal. Then you're going to sew down through the 8-0, the super duo, the crystal, the 8-0, and then sew through the crystal, okay? Okay, so you're now coming out on the inside of the right hand side. We're going to pick up 180, and then again we're going to go through one of our settings. So just pass straight through, okay? So if we were coming out on the left here, you're going to say that your thread is now coming out on the lower right, okay? You're going to pick up an 80, a crystal and an 80. And then once you've got that on, you're going to pass through the lower hole, the lower left hole of your setting through to the upper right, okay? And pull, and then pick up one more 80 and sew through the crystal that is above your chaton setting, okay? I'm sorry that this video is really gappy. I am sneezing like crazy today and it's just really disrupting. Okay, so now we're going to go down through the 80, through here, through the 80, and then back out through this crystal here, okay? Okay, so we are now over halfway here. So we're going to basically repeat what we've been doing before. So you're going to pick up an 80, a super duo, an 80, a crystal, and one more 80. So 80 super duo, 80 crystal, 80, push it all down. So back through your 80. So we're coming out on the left hand side here, so we're going to sew into the right hand side of the crystal. Just move this up a little bit. Okay, so pick up 180 and sew through the crystal. Okay, then you're going to sew down through the 80, the super duo, the 80, and sew through your crystal. Okay, and then here we're approaching the bottom, so this is where we have to be a little more careful because we have to add our extra 11 O's in, okay? So we're coming out of the outside edge of our crystal here. You're going to pick up a 80, a super duo, an 80, and 11, a crystal, and an 80. Okay, so 80 super duo, 80, 11, crystal, 80. So back down through the super duo. Pick up one more 80, and you're going to pass through the other side of the crystal so I can tell, because my 80 is here, I need to go through this way. You're always going through the side where you don't already have an 80, okay? Then you're going to pass through the 8, the super duo, the 8, the 11, and through your crystal. Okay, pick up an 8/0, a setting, and sew straight through it. So I'm coming out on the inside here, okay, which means that I'm going to be coming out on the outside right here. You're going to pick up an 8/0 and 11/0, a crystal, and an 8/0. So 8/0, 11/0, crystal, 8/0. Push it all down. And you're going to pass through the other hole. On your setting, going from the upper left to the lower right, okay? And then here at the top, to close the gap, you need an 8/0 and an 11/0. And you're going to go through the crystal. Okay, so that's now joined. Then we're going to pass through and come out of our crystal here. So you're going to go through this 8/0, through the setting, through here, through the 11, and that come out the crystal, okay? Okay, so you should be coming out on the inside of that crystal. You're going to pick up an 8/0, a super duo, another 8/0, and a crystal. One more 8/0. Okay, you're gonna sew back through your super duo. And then you're going to pick up an 8/0 and an 11 and sew through the crystal from where the 11 is. Okay. So it should now look like this. And then you're going to sew through the 8/0, the super duo, the 8/0, and come out from the outside of this crystal. All right, so I'm coming out the outside. We just need to join this little section together right here. So we're just going to pick up one 8/0, one super duo, one 8/0, okay? You're going to sew through the crystal. So if you're coming on the outside here, you're going to enter into the outside here. Then you're going to pick up an 8/0. You're going to sew back through that super duo. And then one more 8/0 and sew out through the crystal. Like this, okay? So you should now have a ring, and it is quite floppy, okay, and a little bit loose. But once we have added our inner and our outer beads, it'll still be floppy, but that's okay because it's supposed to be sitting on the ornament. But it'll kind of hold its shape a little bit better, and it won't be like loose, okay? All right. So just remember that your top and your bottom are the sections that have your extra 11/0s, okay? That's important for when we're filling in the edge. All right, so you're going to sew up until you get up to the next setting, okay? And pass through the crystal. And through the 8/0 right before the setting on the side here. Okay, so let me lay this out again for you so you can see where we are. Just ignore this bit, that's just my tail. Okay, all right, so I'm coming out right here. We're gonna add 3 3 8/0s. We're going to sew straight into the 8/0 above. So we're gonna reinforce the inside of the ring first of all, and then we'll go and we'll do the outside of the ring, okay? So here we're gonna add 3 in between this and this. So it should look like this, okay? Then you're gonna pick up 2 11/0s. You're going to sew through the 8/0, the super duo, and the next 8/0. Then you're just going to pick up 1 8/0 and you're going to sew through the next 8/0, super duo, and 8/0. And then here, we're only going to pick up 1 11/0, and we're going to sew straight into the next 8/0 that's by our next chaton, okay? All right, so we picked up 3, then we picked up 2 11s, then we picked up 1 8, then we picked up 1 11, okay? And now we're here. So here you are going to add 5 because you're going to be hanging from that middle one. We're going to go back later and skip one of them. At the bottom, you're only picking up 4 right here, or 2 instead of, so here you pick up 3 at the top and only 2 on the inside at the bottom, but the sides both have 3, okay? So we're going to pick up 3. You're going to sew through the next 8/0. So we've gone around our chaton, okay? Here you're picking up 1 11, you're passing through the 8/0, the super duo, and the next 8/0. Okay? Always make sure you're coming out from the 8/0. For some reason before I would go through the super duo and then I would forget to go through the 8/0, so be careful, okay? Then you're going to pick up an 8/0, you're going to go through the 8/0, the next super duo, and the next 8/0. And I'm pulling quite tight, you know, you shouldn't really have any slack at this point. Then you're going to pick up 2 11s. You're going to go through the next 8/0, which is right before your chaton, okay? Then you're going to pick up 3 8/0s and sew through the next 8/0. Okay, so this is what we have at this point. Okay, so we're halfway there. So here we're going to pick up 2 11s, then we're going to pick up 1 8, 1 11, 3 8s, 1 11, pass through, 1 8, pass through, 2 11s, okay? And when we get back here, then we're going to pass through our chaton over to the outside. All right, so continue on doing the same pattern that we did up here. So you're going to have 2 11s, then 1 8, then 1 11. So copy what you've done here. So you're going to do your 2 11s, your 1 8, your 1 11. Here you're only going to add 2 8s, okay? Instead of 3 like we did up here, we're only adding 2. See here? Okay, that's the only difference. So go ahead, add the 2, and then you do 1 11, 1 8, 2 11s, okay? Okay, so I'm about to add my 2 11s. You're just going to go through the first 8-0 right here, and then you're going to pass through your chaton. Okay, when you come out the other side, you can also pass through the 8-0. We're actually going to work in the same direction. Whoops, sorry. We're going to work in the same direction for the outside edge as well, okay? So we are here. So here we're going to do the same thing as on the inside. So we're going to pick up 2 11s right here, pass through the 8-0 and the next super duo, and the next 8-0. Okay, here we're going to add 3 8-0s. You're going to sew through the 8-0, the super duo, the 8-0, and the first 11-0. You're going to add 1 11-0, and then you're going to sew through the 11 and the next 8-0, okay? So just add 1 11 right there. Okay, so you should now have 3 11s up at the top there. Then we're going to add 3 8-0s over the top of our top chaton, and go ahead, pass through the 8-0 and the 11-0, okay, like this. Pick up 1 11 and pass through the next 11, 8-0, super duo 11. Pick up 3 8-0s right here, okay. Go into the next 8-0, super duo, and 8-0. Pick up 2 11s for right here, just like on the other side. And just go through the 8-0. Okay. You're going to pick up 3 8-0s, go into the next 8-0. Again, watch out for those prongs. I just got caught again, okay? 2 11s here. 3 8-0s. You can see how few I have left. I'm hoping I can make it. We will see. One 11 here, okay. Three here, 3 8-0s. 111. I am 180 short. That's okay, because like I said, I have some more, so. All right. Oh, how inconvenient. Okay. 3. Hopefully you guys have enough. If you don't, then maybe use some other beads. Okay. 3 8/0s right here. And 2 11s to finish off right here. Oh, we're gonna need 3 right here as well. Oh, I needed 4 more than I had then. Okay. All right. There are other 8/0s that came in the box, so you could substitute some of them for the other color, like maybe use the other color going around the chatons or something if you, you know, want to mix it up a little. Okay, so here we go. I'm just going to go through that last 8/0, 11/0, and 8/0. Okay. All right, so that is our frame. What I'm going to do now is I am going to pass up and through this crystal, and then what I want to do is I want to get over here. I want to sew through these 2, skip this one, and sew through here so that this one sticks down a little bit further, and this bit pulls in a little bit more, okay? So just however you can get over there to do that. Okay, and then once you've got that point, I'm probably gonna just sew around, meet my tail, and tie off. So go ahead and do that, and then you can use your jump ring and attach your kitty cat. And then we will work on the rest of the bauble.